Vengeance. The story picks up in a land where survival depends on courage, skill, and the iron nerves of those willing to drive massive rigs across frozen lakes and brittle rivers. These are the ice road truckers, men and women whose livelihood depends on staring death in the face and pressing forward anyway. And at the heart of this tale is a man who has already seen more than his share of danger. Mike McCann, played once again by Liam Neeson. But this isn't just another job. This isn't just another haul. What begins as a mission across the treacherous winter frontier becomes personal, deeply personal. Because this time, it's not only about surviving the ice, it's about vengeance. The frozen wilderness becomes more than a backdrop. It's a living, breathing adversary. The cracking sounds beneath the tires, the endless howling winds, and the blinding snowstorms all work together to remind you, nature doesn't negotiate. One mistake, one moment of hesitation, and the ice will swallow everything whole. Yet amid this natural peril lies an even darker threat, the kind forged not by storms or avalanches, but by human cruelty. When betrayal enters the picture, when greed and revenge cut deeper than frostbite, Mike realizes that every mile on the ice is also a mile into the heart of danger he cannot ignore. And so the journey begins. A lone truck barreling forward against the blizzard, headlights cutting through the white void, carrying more than cargo, carrying the weight of justice, carrying the fire of vengeance. The beauty of this story is not only in the spectacle of roaring engines and collapsing ice, but in the quiet moments, the pauses where you see a man haunted by his past, determined that this time, no one will be left behind. The audience feels the tension not just in the creaking ice beneath the truck's wheels, but in the choices Mike must make, choices that blur the line between survival and sacrifice. Ice Road. Vengeance is not simply a sequel, it's a deeper dive into the world we first glimpsed in the Ice Road. It asks the question, how far can one man be pushed by fate before he pushes back? And when he does, will the road hold, or will it shatter beneath him? The ice road stretches on a pale ribbon vanishing into the horizon, endless and merciless. To outsiders, it looks like a frozen wasteland, silent and empty. But to those who know, every groan beneath the ice, every flicker of wind against the windshield is a warning. Out here, silence doesn't mean safety. Silence means the storm hasn't found you yet. Mike McCann grips the wheel with the steady resolve of a man who's lived his life on edges. Edges of roads, edges of decisions, edges of survival. His truck roars like a beast against the stillness, each tire spinning a gamble against the thin, frozen surface below. But this isn't only about crossing the wilderness anymore. This is about setting something right, something that has lingered far too long in the shadows of his past. The film leans heavily into atmosphere. You feel the weight of isolation pressing down, the kind that makes the cab of a truck feel both like a sanctuary and a coffin. The only company, the steady hum of the engine, the rattle of chains, the sound of a man's own breath echoing back at him. Yet beneath that solitude, a pulse beats the pulse of vengeance, hot and unrelenting, burning even in the coldest of landscapes. But the road itself is never the only enemy. Somewhere out there, beyond the blinding white, lie those who have chosen to stand in his way. Men with motives as dangerous as any storm. They don't drive for survival. They don't fight for duty. They move in shadows of greed, violence, and betrayal. And where the ice thins, where the danger mounts, Mike will find not just the struggle of nature, but the threat of men determined to see him fall. It's in these moments that the film takes its time building tension, letting the audience sit with the icy dread. The camera lingers on a crack spreading slowly across the surface of the ice, on headlights glowing faintly through an oncoming whiteout, on the face of a man who knows what waits at the end of this road may be colder than the winter itself. Still, McCann presses forward, because vengeance doesn't wait. Vengeance doesn't turn back. It pulls you onward, demanding more than skill, more than endurance. It demands everything. And as the trucks move further into the frozen heartland, the road becomes a battlefield of steel, ice, and willpower. Each mile stretches longer, the air thinner, the stakes higher. Will the ice hold? Will justice be found at the end of the horizon? These are questions the audience must carry mile by mile, moment by moment. What makes Ice Road, Vengeance so gripping is not only the roar of diesel engines or the shattering cracks of ice giving way beneath 18 wheels. It's the sense that this story is not about survival alone, it's about reckoning. About what happens when a man who has lost too much refuses to lose again. About how even the coldest ice cannot extinguish the fire of determination. The road is never just a road. Out here, every stretch of frozen lake, every snow-clad ridge carries the memory of lives lost to the cold. The ice holds secrets, shattered rigs, sunken cargo, and the whispers of truckers who never made it home. The film knows this, and it lingers in that haunted space. You can almost hear the ghosts of the road in the howling wind, reminding Mike McCann that he is not the first to gamble everything on this white wasteland. And he may not be the last. The camera sweeps across endless fields of ice, jagged mountain silhouettes barely visible through veils of snow. It isn't just scenery, it's an arena. Nature itself becomes a character, watching, waiting, testing the resolve of every man bold enough to trespass on its frozen skin. The further Mike drives, the more the land feels alive, the creaks beneath his tires like a heartbeat, the shifting snow like breaths from a hidden beast. But Vengeance sharpens the senses. His focus is unbreakable. Every gear shift is deliberate, every mile calculated. He knows the risks not only of the ice caving beneath him, but of the human predators lurking ahead. The film doesn't rush these moments. Instead, it lets tension simmer. Shots of his weathered hands gripping the wheel are cut with glimpses of headlights in the distance, shadows moving through the snowstorm, and the steady, ominous hum of engines following too close behind. What makes this journey terrifying is the unpredictability. 1 second, the road is silent, the world frozen in uneasy peace. The next, the ice groans with a sound like thunder, spiderweb cracks racing under the truck's weight. Every viewer feels it, the instinct to hold their breath, as though their silence might somehow help the truck make it across. And in those seconds, survival hangs by a thread. But the road is not Mike's only test. The men who have marked him are relentless. They are not strangers to the ice, they know the dangers. They know the shortcuts, and they know the cost of failure. Their presence isn't loud, it's a creeping dread, like wolves circling in the storm. And as their motives come into focus, it's clear that the ice won't be the deadliest thing out here. The beauty of Ice Road, Vengeance lies in how it balances the physical peril with the emotional weight. The film gives space to memory, to reflection moments when Mike looks out across the white void, and we see not just a driver but a man haunted by choices and driven by something deeper than survival. Vengeance in this story isn't about fury alone. It's about duty, about protecting what's left, about proving that even in a world that takes everything, one man can still fight back. And so the journey continues. A lone truck pushing into a storm that blots out everything but the road ahead. No guarantees, no safety nets, only steel, ice, and the fire of a man who refuses to yield. The storm arrives not with a roar, but with a whisper. At first, it's only a soft flurry brushing against the windshield, tiny flecks of white in the dark. Then, in minutes, the horizon disappears. The world closes in. Snow swallows the sky, the ground, the truck itself. The road becomes invisible, a guess more than a path, and for any other driver, this would be the moment to stop, to wait, to pray. But Mike McCann doesn't stop. He presses forward, his rig cutting through the whiteout like a spear. Because in this storm, stopping means death. And in this storm, hesitation is exactly what the men chasing him want. The film lingers on the details, the windshield wipers thrashing against ice they cannot clear, the headlights reduced to pale circles of light swallowed by the storm. Inside the cab, every creak of metal, every shudder of the truck feels magnified, echoing in the silence between gusts of wind. The audience feels the claustrophobia of the storm, the suffocating knowledge that at any moment, the ice beneath could give way. And then comes the sound, the sharp, unmistakable crack of stress spreading across frozen water. The camera cuts downward beneath the surface, where dark currents twist and churn just inches below the tires. Every mile is a gamble, every second is a challenge, and still he drives on. But nature is not the only hunter in this storm. Behind him, or perhaps ahead, it's impossible to tell other trucks move. Their engines growl like predators circling prey, their lights sometimes flickering through the veil of snow. These are not fellow drivers offering help. These are men who mean to stop him. Men who know the road, who know the ice, and who would gladly let it swallow him whole if it meant achieving their aim. What follows is not action. In the usual sense, it is a slow, tightening grip of tension. Trucks hidden in the blizzard, faint shadows at the edge of vision, like phantoms. Every decision becomes a trap. Every turn could lead to safety, or straight into the jaws of an ambush. And through it all, the storm howls, relentless, drowning out all but the voice in Mike's head telling him, keep driving. It's here that the film draws on its greatest strength: atmosphere. The storm is not just weather, it's a test, a wall of nature designed to strip a man down to his willpower alone. And vengeance, unlike fear, cannot be frozen. Somewhere beyond this storm lies the truth. Somewhere beyond this storm lie the men he's after, the answers he seeks, the reckoning he's promised himself. And until the wheels stop turning, nothing, not the cracking ice, not the roaring wind, not even the hunters in the snow can keep him from reaching it. The road stretches on, endless and invisible, swallowed by the white. The trucks vanish into the storm. And still, the journey continues. The storm does not relent, it deepens. Snow lashes against steel, winds claw at the rig as though eager to drag it beneath the ice. Visibility vanishes to nothing, yet Mike McCann drives blind, trusting only instinct and the hum of his engine. Out here, in this frozen battlefield, instinct is worth more than sight. And then faint at first twin beams of light pierce through the whiteout. They flicker in his mirrors, grow brighter, closer, steadier. They are not stars. They are headlights. Predators have found him in the blizzard. The trucks behind close the distance, massive machines growling over the ice like beasts unleashed. Their engines echo across the frozen expanse, a low, thunderous sound that shakes the road itself. The camera cuts between them Liam Neeson's weathered face set in unbreakable resolve, and the faceless menace pushing forward, relentless, merciless. The ice groans beneath the weight of pursuit. Cracks spiderweb outward, dark water bubbling up like veins of doom beneath the surface. The blizzard howls louder, wind slamming against all sides until it feels like the earth and sky have joined forces to tear every machine from its path. Yet still, they drive. The chase becomes more than metal against metal. It becomes a war of wills. Mike knows the road is no ally. He knows the storm won't protect him, but vengeance fuels his hands, steady on the wheel. Each mile forward is a defiance against nature, against his pursuers, against fate itself. And then, at last, the storm begins to thin. Slowly, painfully, the white curtain parts, revealing a horizon painted in pale blue. For the first time in what feels like hours, the world opens wide. Mountains rise in the distance, jagged and defiant. The road stretches like a scar across the frozen wilderness, vast and unbroken. Here, in this moment of clarity, the story doesn't end. It widens, the chase is no longer confined to a storm. The ice road ahead is open wide, dangerous, unyielding. The hunters are still there, engines snarling, pressing closer. The cracks beneath the tires are deeper now, the road less certain. And beyond the horizon lies the truth, the confrontation, the reason vengeance burns so fiercely in his chest. The film leaves you in that space, that wide, glorious anticipation, the sense that everything is about to happen. The storm has passed, but the true reckoning is only beginning. The road stretches out forever, and somewhere along its endless frozen miles, justice waits. Because on the ice road, survival is never enough. On the ice road, vengeance is the only destination.